The realtor slid the final document across the polished mahogany table, and I signed my name with a flourish that felt like poetic justice. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the real estate office, I could see the church steeple where, at this very moment, my sister Alexandra was supposedly exchanging vows with the man of her dreams. My phone buzzed violently on the table, the 15th call in the last 10 minutes. I knew exactly what was happening without even looking at the screen. "Congratulations, Ms. Morrison," the realtor said, handing me the keys to my new home. "You're officially a homeowner." I smiled at him, Christopher Vaughn, my sister's ex-fiancé, and now my real estate agent, as my phone continued its angry dance across the table. The man my sister had left 2 years ago for someone with better financial prospects had just helped me buy my dream house, on what should have been her perfect day. But let me back up 3 months to when this whole mess started. My name is Samantha Morrison, and at 29, I had finally saved enough for a down payment on a house. It had taken 6 years of living in a cramped studio apartment, skipping vacations, driving a 15-year-old Honda Civic, and saying no to more brunches than I could count. But that $50,000 sitting in my savings account represented freedom, stability, and the achievement of a goal I'd set the day I graduated from nursing school. My younger sister Alexandra, on the other hand, had different priorities. At 26, she lived by the philosophy that life was meant to be enjoyed now, not saved for later. Credit cards were for maxing out, apartments were for decorating beyond your means, and rich boyfriends were for funding the lifestyle you deserved. When she got engaged to Bradley Ashford III, yes, that was actually his name, she saw it as her ticket to the life she'd always dreamed of. The problem started at our monthly family dinner in January. I'd just gotten pre-approval for a mortgage and couldn't contain my excitement. "I found the perfect house," I announced, pulling up photos on my phone. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and the most amazing garden. "I can finally have a dog." My parents beamed with pride. "That's wonderful, sweetheart," Mom said. "When do you close?" "If all goes well, mid-April." Alexandra, who had been unusually quiet, suddenly perked up. "April? But my wedding is in April." "The 23rd, I nodded. "I'll probably close the week before." "Perfect timing, right?" She exchanged a look with Bradley that I didn't quite understand at the time. The rest of dinner passed with wedding talk, venues, flowers, the usual. But I noticed Alexandra kept circling back to my house purchase, asking oddly specific questions about the down payment, the closing costs, my savings. 2 weeks later, she called me at work. "Can you meet me for coffee? It's important." I found her at our usual cafe, but instead of her typical perfectly composed self, she looked frazzled. Her designer bag, a Christmas gift from Bradley's mother, sat beside untouched coffee. "Lex, what's wrong?" She took a deep breath. "I need a favor. A big one." "Okay." The wedding venue wants the final payment. $50,000. I nearly choked on my latte. 50,000? For 1 day. It's the Rosewood estate, Sam. It's been in Bradley's family for generations. All the Ashford men get married there. Then why isn't Bradley's family paying for it? She fidgeted with her engagement ring. A massive diamond that probably cost more than my annual salary. They're already paying for so much. The honeymoon in Bora Bora, the rehearsal dinner, Bradley's new Mercedes as a wedding gift. A Mercedes as a wedding gift? I couldn't hide my disbelief. "The point is," she continued, ignoring my tone, "I need to contribute something. I need to show them I'm not just some gold digger marrying their son for money." The irony of that statement seemed lost on her. "Lex, I'm sympathetic, but what does this have to do with me?" She leaned forward, her eyes bright with desperation. "I need to borrow your house deposit." The cafe seemed to go silent around us. I stared at her, waiting for the punchline. It didn't come. "You're joking. I'll pay you back. Bradley's trust fund opens up fully once we're married. I can return every penny by May, June at the latest. Alexandra, that's my house. I've saved for 6 years. And I'm your sister." Her voice rose, drawing stares from nearby tables. "Your only sister, asking for help for the most important day of my life. You can delay buying a house for a few months, can't you? It's not about delaying. If I liquidate my savings now, I lose the pre-approval, the interest rate lock, the house itself. There are 3 other offers on it. So find another house. With what down payment?" She waved dismissively. "You saved once, you can save again. But I only get 1 wedding, 1 chance to impress Bradley's family, 1 shot at the life I deserve." The life she deserved. Not earned, not worked for, deserved. I'm sorry, Lex. I can't give you my house money. Maybe you could scale back the wedding, or take out a loan, or... A loan? She laughed bitterly. My credit is maxed out. And scale back. Do you know what Bradley's family would think? What his ex-girlfriend Muffy would say? Muffy. She's invited. Old family friend. She had her wedding at Rosewood too, of course. If mine is anything less than spectacular. I stood up, leaving money for my coffee on the table. I'm sorry, Alexandra. The answer is no. Her face hardened in a way I'd never seen before. You'll regret this, Sam. When you're sitting alone in your precious house with no family around you, remember this moment. That should have been my warning. The next 3 weeks were a masterclass in manipulation. First came the sob stories. She'd call crying about how Bradley's mother was questioning if she was the right fit for their family. Then came the guilt trips, with our mother calling to ask why I was being so selfish, and couldn't I just help my sister this once? Apparently, Alexandra had told them I was refusing to help with any wedding expenses, conveniently leaving out the small detail that she wanted my entire life savings. When emotional manipulation failed, she tried bargaining. She'd pay me back with interest. She'd give me her car, worth maybe $5,000 on a good day. She'd let me be maid of honor, as if that was some grand prize rather than an expensive obligation. Finally, 2 weeks before the wedding, she went nuclear. I was at work when the text came through. Since you've made it clear that a house is more important than your own sister's happiness, you're no longer welcome at my wedding. Don't bother coming. My hands shook as I read it. 26 years of being sisters, and she was uninviting me over money I'd earned myself. The family explosion was immediate. My phone rang off the hook, aunts, uncles, cousins, all demanding to know what I'd done to poor Alexandra. She'd told everyone I'd promised to help pay for the wedding and then backed out at the last minute, leaving her scrambling. She painted herself as the victim and me as the cruel, money-hoarding sister who valued property over family. I tried explaining the truth, but who would believe it? Sweet Alexandra asking for someone's entire life savings? Ridiculous. Surely I was exaggerating. Surely there was a misunderstanding. My parents, caught in the middle, tried to play peacemakers. Just apologize, my mother begged. Go to the wedding. We'll sort out the money stuff later. Apologize for what? For not giving her $50,000 I spent years saving. For hurting her feelings. For not being supportive. Mom, she uninvited me from her wedding because I wouldn't bankrupt myself for her venue. She's stressed, honey. Wedding planning makes people crazy. Be the bigger person. But I was tired of being the bigger person. The responsible one. The one who worked night shifts and overtime while Alexandra floated from one expensive hobby to another, confident that someone would always catch her when she fell. The week before the wedding, things got interesting. I was meeting with Christopher Vaughn, my realtor, to finalize some paperwork when he mentioned something odd. Funny thing, he said, sorting through documents. I used to be engaged to a girl named Alexandra Morrison. Same last name as you. Small world, right? I nearly dropped my pen. Alexandra's my sister. His professional smile faltered. Oh, I didn't realize. She kept her ex pretty quiet. You're the ex she left 2 years ago? He nodded, looking uncomfortable. Ancient history. I wasn't financially ambitious enough for her tastes. I remembered now. Alexandra had dated a boring realtor guy before Bradley. She'd complained he was too focused on middle-class mediocrity and didn't understand her vision for the future. I'm sorry, I said. That must have been difficult. He shrugged, but I caught a flash of old hurt in his eyes. Blessing in disguise. I focused on building my business instead. Been doing pretty well, actually. An idea began forming in my mind. A terrible, wonderful, petty idea. Christopher, what are you doing on April 23rd? He raised an eyebrow. Working, probably. Why? How would you like to help me close on my house that day? Around, say, 2 in the afternoon. He checked his calendar. That's a Saturday. We don't usually. Then understanding dawned. Isn't that? My sister's wedding day, yes. The one I'm no longer invited to. A slow smile spread across his face. You know what? I think I can make an exception for a special client. And that's how I found myself in a real estate office at 2 p.m. on April 23rd, signing papers for my dream house while my sister was supposedly saying, I do across town. I'd turned off my phone that morning, determined to enjoy my house closing day without drama. But as Christopher handed me the keys to my new home, curiosity got the better of me. I powered on my phone. It exploded with notifications. 15 missed calls from Alexandra. 23 text messages. 4 voicemails from my mother. 6 missed calls from Bradley. Bradley? I played the first voicemail from my mom. Samantha, where are you? Your sister needs you. The venue. There's been a mistake with the payment. Call me immediately. The second was from Alexandra, screaming incoherently about ruined dreams and bankruptcy, and how this was all my fault. Christopher watched as I scrolled through the messages, his expression carefully neutral. Everything okay? Apparently the venue payment bounced, I said slowly. In the middle of the ceremony. His lips twitched. The Rosewood estate doesn't mess around with payments. They've been burned before by society types living beyond their means. You know the venue? Every realtor in the city knows Rosewood. They've had to foreclose on 3 properties in the last 5 years from families who overspent on weddings there. My phone rang. Alexandra's name flashed on the screen. Against my better judgment, I answered. Where are you? She shrieked. Where have you been? Do you know what you've done? I've been buying my house, Lex. What's going on? The venue stopped the ceremony. In front of everyone. They said our payment was declined, and unless we could pay immediately, we had to leave. Bradley's parents are humiliated. Muffy is laughing. This is all your fault. How is your venue payment bouncing my fault? Because you wouldn't lend me the money. I had to use Bradley's credit card, and apparently his parents froze his accounts because they found out about. It doesn't matter. You need to wire me $50,000 right now. I looked around the real estate office at the keys in my hand, at Christopher trying to pretend he wasn't listening to every word. Alexandra, I just used that money to buy my house. Like I told you I was going to. The silence on the other end was deafening. Then, you bought your house today? On my wedding day. You uninvited me, remember? I had a free afternoon. I'm going to lose everything. Bradley's family is threatening to cut him off. The guests are all leaving. Some of them are taking their gifts back. Sam, please. I felt a twinge of sympathy. She was my sister, after all. But then I remembered every birthday where she got the bigger party, every achievement of mine overshadowed by her dramatics, every sacrifice I'd made that went unnoticed while she was rewarded for simply existing. I'm sorry, Lex. I really am. But I can't help you. You won't help me. There's a difference. No, I said firmly. There isn't. Not anymore. I hung up and turned my phone off again. Christopher was studying me with something like admiration. That was hard, he said quietly. Yes, it was. For what it's worth, she made her choices. Both with you and before. I looked at him curiously. Can I ask what happened? Between you two. He hesitated, then shrugged. She wanted a lifestyle I couldn't provide. I was building my business, saving money, planning for the future. She wanted luxury now. When Bradley came along with his trust fund and family name, she left. Without a backward glance. Told me I lacked ambition because I wouldn't leverage myself into debt to buy her designer handbags. And now, he gestured around the office. Now I own this agency. Turns out focusing on building something real instead of maintaining an image pays off. We sat in comfortable silence for a moment before he spoke again. You know, there's a great little champagne bar around the corner. If you'd like to celebrate your new home properly. I looked at this man who'd helped me achieve my dream on the day my sister's fantasy fell apart. There was something poetic about it. I'd like that, I said. But first, let me send one text. I powered on my phone, ignored the new barrage of messages, and sent a single text to my family group chat. Successfully closed on my house today. For those who said I was selfish for not giving Alexandra my deposit, you were right. I chose my future over her fantasy. I chose my hard-earned dreams over her borrowed ones. And watching her wedding implode because she couldn't pay for a venue she couldn't afford only confirms I made the right choice. I'll be at my new house if anyone wants to visit. You know, the one I bought with my own money. Then I turned the phone off again and followed Christopher out into the afternoon sun. As we walked to the champagne bar, he said something that stuck with me. You know what the difference is between you and your sister? You saved for what you wanted. She expected it to be given to her. 6 months later, I was settled in my house, complete with the golden retriever I'd always wanted. Alexandra's marriage to Bradley had survived the wedding disaster, but barely. His family had put them on a strict allowance, and they were living in a one-bedroom apartment while Bradley learned the value of money by working at his father's company, starting in the mailroom. She'd called once late at night, crying about how unfair life was. How she was supposed to be living in a mansion, not a cramped apartment. How Muffy drove past in her Bentley and waved mockingly. You could have had it all, she sobbed. If you'd just helped me. No, Lex, I corrected gently. You could have had something real if you'd learned to work for it instead of expecting it to be handed to you. She hung up on me. We haven't spoken since. But on quiet evenings, when I sit on my porch with my dog at my feet and a glass of wine in my hand, I don't regret my choice. I earned this house with every extra shift, every skipped latte, every sacrifice I made. And no dream wedding, no matter how grand, is worth giving up something you've built with your own hands. As for Christopher? Well, he stops by sometimes to check how the house is treating me. We've had dinner a few times. He's teaching my dog to fetch. Turns out my sister did give me something valuable after all. She introduced me to a man who understands the value of earning your dreams instead of expecting them. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's simply succeeding on your own terms, in your own time, with your own resources. And if that success happens to come with a side of poetic justice, well, that's just the cherry on top of a cake you bought yourself.